The legacy media is trying to convince you that the midterms are a foregone conclusion, that the Democrats are going to trounce the GOP as Trump's popularity plummets. They told us the 2024 results were a fluke, that voters are done with Trump and the GOP. Well, last night, three special elections just blew that narrative apart into 1,000 pieces. Republicans didn't just win, they dominated. And they dominated with a demographic that the Democrats thought would be the key to their coming permanent majority. In 3 heavily Latino districts in every single race, the Republicans didn't just hit Trump's 2024 numbers, they crushed them. Make sure to stick them to the very end of this video because we got the race-by-race breakdown, the margin numbers that are astonishing, and what all of this tells us about where the Latino vote is really headed as we barrel on toward the 2026 midterms. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, enjoying yet another glorious day in Trump's golden age that you made possible back in November 2024. So if you want a front row seat on how you continue to change the world in ways you never even imagined, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Also, we got a quick programming note. This Saturday, April 18th, I'll be speaking at the Firm Foundations Academy auction in Ephrata, Pennsylvania, and I want to see you there. This is an evening built around one idea, investing in the next generation of Christian leaders. So grab your tickets at the link below. So the Democrat Party has had a rough couple of months. And when I say rough, I mean catastrophically rough. The legacy media has been working overtime, trying to convince you that Latino voters are fleeing the Republican Party, that the ICE raids, the tariffs, the Iran operation, all of it is supposedly sending Hispanic voters sprinting back to the Democrats. And they've been pointing to a few concocted and fabricated data points to try to make that case. Well, then we had last night. Last night happened. And last night, bottom line, was a gut punch to that narrative. 3 major Republican victories last night in 3 heavily Latino districts. And in all 3 races, Republicans didn't just win. They exceeded President Trump's 2024 margins. In fact, they blew it out of the water by double digits. First up, the race for West Miami mayor. Now, for those who don't know, West Miami is about as Latino as it gets in America. We're talking a city that's roughly 90% Hispanic, with the largest group being Cuban Americans. It's the heart of South Florida's Cuban exile community. These are people who know exactly what socialism looks like. They fled communism. They got no interest whatsoever in watching the Democrat Party drag America toward the same cliff their parents and grandparents escaped. And last night, the Republican candidate didn't just win the mayoral race. He won it by a margin that was plus 11% over Trump's already incredibly strong 2024 performance in that district. Trump won West Miami, if you don't know, by 31 points. But the Republican mayoral candidate, Eric Diaz-Padrón, he won it by 42 points, an 11-point overperformance, 71 to 29. It was an absolute blowout. And the trajectory of Latino support towards the GOP, as we can see here, has only gone up, not down, since 2024. Second, the West Miami City Council election. Now, same city, same demographics, same story, but if you can believe it, even bigger. The Republican candidate for city council outperformed Trump's 2024 margin by plus 18. 18 points. The Democrats wanted to flip a Cuban-American community in the shadow of Miami, and they got absolutely shellacked. Again, in a district that's over 85% Hispanic. This is not a fluke. This is a community doubling down. And then there's the one that should really make Democrats lose sleep. Rio Rancho, New Mexico. Now, we've been talking a lot lately about New Mexico because the otherwise reliably blue state has been trending very noticeably red of late, with 2 demographics that have been shifting towards the GOP, Latinos and the working class. And lo and behold, what do we have here? The Republican candidate once again demolished his Democrat opponent in the Rio Rancho mayoral race, outperforming Trump's 2024 margins by an astonishing plus 30 points. 30 points in New Mexico, in a heavily Hispanic working class district. Gang, that's not a blip. That's a realignment. So let me put all three together for you. West Miami mayor, plus 11 over Trump's margin. West Miami City Council, plus 18 over Trump's margin. Rio Rancho mayor, plus 30 over Trump's margin. That's not just a sweep. That's a Democrat catastrophe. That's a Democrat implosion. Seriously, can you imagine what the headlines would be like this morning if the Democrats had won with overperformances like that in 3 simultaneous special elections? Now, a word of caution in all this. We do not want to read too much into this for the midterms because special elections are not particularly predictive for midterm results. So that's an important caveat here. Special elections are just that, right? They are special. They're one-offs. And they generally don't offer any real insights beyond themselves. But that said, there is a key indicator here that's emerging in all 3 of these races that does indeed directly impact the midterms. And I'm going to show you what that indicator is and precisely why it matters as the GOP prepares to defend their congressional majority in just 7 months from now. But first, when we think about war, we picture soldiers in battlefields, but the real damage doesn't stay contained. Take a look at what modern warfare looks like.
Why is this town covered in spider webs? And yes, this is real. The answer is those are not spider webs. That is fiber optic cable. And that is what warfare looks like in 2026. To prevent the drones from being jammed, they trail behind them mile after mile of fiber optic cable. And now the landscape is absolutely covered in thousands of miles of this cable.
And it's not just these fiber optic cables. Every time a missile goes off or a bomb explodes, microplastic particles are released into the upper atmosphere and spread globally, making their way into the air we breathe and the food we eat. Because they're so small, they get absorbed into the bloodstream and our organs, where they build up over time, triggering inflammation and increasing the risk of heart disease, cancers, and even Alzheimer's. But here's what's incredible. New research is now showing that certain probiotics found only in kimchi can bind to these microplastics and help remove them from the body. The results showed that people taking the kimchi-derived probiotic were clearing out nearly twice as many microplastics. And it doesn't stop there. Another study found that a specific strain in kimchi, Bacillus pumilus, can break down BPA, one of the most toxic chemicals in plastic. Now, what that means is your body actually has the ability to get rid of toxins, but only when your gut is balanced and functioning the way it's supposed to. But here's the challenge. Most people aren't eating kimchi consistently enough to get those benefits. So that's why Brightcore created Kimchi 1, with over 900 plus strains of beneficial bacteria that deliver all the benefits of real kimchi in convenient capsules, no taste, no smell. It's all non-GMO, 100% made right here in the USA. Today, you can try Kimchi 1 by clicking the link below for 25% off your entire order, or for the best deal available, call my friends at Brightcore. Give them a call, and you're going to get 50% off plus free shipping. Call them now at 888-597-0233. That's 888-597-0233. The battleground for control of the House of Representatives runs directly through Hispanic communities. Swing districts with large Latino populations in Texas, Florida, Arizona, California, they will indeed largely determine whether Republicans keep the majority or lose it. The Democrats' entire midterm strategy is built on the assumption that Latino voters who went with Trump in 2024 are now largely coming home. Remember, the key to the Obama coalition was not black voters. It was Latino voters. Latinos voted for Obama 2-1 over McCain and Romney. They were the difference, right? It was a 70-30 split. So that's why the Democrats were so desperate in opening the southern border over the 4 years of Biden, because they thought they were flooding the nation with the political demographic that would guarantee their perpetual rule. And so they just assumed that eventually Latino voters would come to their senses and return to the Democrats, especially if Trump is not on the ballot. Last night blew a massive hole in that assumption, because what last night showed is that the shift isn't just about Trump being on the ballot. It's deeper than that. These are local elections. There's no Trump at the top of the ticket pulling voters along. These Republican candidates won on their own in heavily Latino communities, and they won bigger than Trump did. Now, the question, of course, is what's happening here? What's driving this shift? Why are Latinos overwhelmingly moving to the right? And the data suggests it's not one thing. It's a combination of factors. It's the economy. It's the concern over law and order. It's the concern over immigration. It's the concern over family values, right? Latinos are very socially conservative, and they despise the less propensity for all things woke. Edison Research found that in 2024, Trump won Latino men outright, 54% to 44%, a massive swing from where things stood in 2020. I believe it was a 40-point swing to the right. And Pew Research found Trump came close to actually winning the Latino vote outright in 2024. Numbers that would have been utterly unthinkable just, 10 years ago. Remember, they were voting 2-1 Democrat. But these are people who work with their hands, who run small businesses, who watch prices at the grocery store and the gas pump, who want their neighborhood safe, who want their kids to have a shot at the American dream. They want sanity from their leaders. And they've looked at the Democrat Party and their issues, their policies of open borders and to fund the police and government dependency and woke ideology. And Latinos, by and large, are saying, no thanks. No thanks. And now they're even saying it louder. Now, make no mistake, the legacy media is they're already trying to memory hole what happened last night. Do a Google search. You're not going to find a word on these elections. Thank God for Elon Musk's X. Again, just imagine if the results were reversed, that the Democrats blew out the Republicans with margins that surpassed Obama's by double digits. It'd be on the front page of every failed news outlet. So they're going to keep running their stories about how Latinos are fleeing Trump. They're going to keep citing their polling from, showing a swing back toward Democrats. The same polls that told us that Kamala was going to win in a landslide. But here's what they won't tell you. Polling and voting are two very different things. People can tell pollsters what they think they're supposed to say. Pollsters can rig the polls in all kinds of ways. But in the voting booth in West Miami, in Rio Rancho, they pulled the lever overwhelmingly for the Republican by wider margins than ever. And that is the only data point that actually matters. The GOP's Latino coalition is not retreating. It's consolidating. And heading into November, that's very, very good news for President Trump, for the Republican Party, and for the America First agenda. So what do you guys think? Is the Latino realignment real and permanent? Is this a preview of November? Let me know in the comments section below. And as always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button for breaking news and analysis you're not going to get anywhere else. Love you guys. God bless.